Okay. So, hello everyone. This is Shivam Alpani, facilitator of Android Study Gems, IIT Bhilai. I welcome you all to the third session on basics of Android development. Also we have with us Sravaya, who is facilitator of Android Study Gems, BVRIT, Hyderabad. Uh, so she is going to take second part of this session. And in this session, we are going to learn about Room database and Work Manager. Before starting with that, we would quickly overview how to make fragments. So let's start. So what is a fragment? A fragment represents a reusable portion of your app's UI. So if you want to show multiple screens on the same activity, you use fragments. So for example, this is one activity, and in this you are using multiple screens. You can access that using clicking by clicking on these buttons. So uh, so multiple screens can be accessed on the same activity. So for that, fragments are used. So we'll go to the code of this, the main activity.xml, activity main.xml. So first, what we have done is that we have made a fragment container, and inside that container, and also we have made three buttons just as we do every time. Uh, Buttons with the ID fragment 1 BTN, fragment 2 BTN, and fragment 3 BTN, and uh, just the basic these things, and then we have to make a separate file for each fragment. So for the first fragment, we have made just a simple text view with the constraints attached to it on all the sites. So yeah, and one thing you have to remember that you have to make this in relative layout. In normal files, it is constraint layout. In fragments, you have to make it in relative layout. So this is the simple code, and similarly for fragment 2 and fragment 3. So the only difference between this is that we have changed the text and the color. Remaining all the three, remaining everything is same in all the three. Um, So now the backend of this code, of this application. So the fragment1.kt file. So in this, we have first imported the class fragment, and we have extended this class to fragment1. So we are passing r.layout.fragment1, which is basically this file in this fragment1. So this uh, fragment1 file will be popped, or this UI will be shown on the screen whenever we click on that button, this button 1. So similar is the code for fragment 2 and fragment 3. Um, Now the main activity code. So this is the same, almost same as we have done before. So we have to first initially set content view. Uh, Wait. So whenever we click on the app, some UI shown on the screen, right? So in this time we have put that binding.root. So a white screen is shown, and we when we click on this button, the newer fragments are uh, shown on the screen. So for that we write the code fragment1 btn dot set on click listener, which means that whenever the ID fragment1 btn, what is this ID? This fragment1 btn, which is basically this button, this one. So whenever this is clicked, um, the function inside this, whatever the task is there inside this function set on click listener, will be executed. So it's replace fragment, and the parameter is fragment1. So what is this replace fragment? Replace fragment is the function which we have defined, which is basically to first replace the original fragment container by the newer fragment parameter that we have passed here. In this case, we have passed fragment 1, right? So the original fragment container, which is uh, this, whatever is there inside this, whichever fragment is there, that will be replaced by fragment uh, or this fragment 1. And similarly, if you want to replace it by fragment 2, uh, we have to click on this button 2, and similarly button 3 for fragment 3. And then what we do is that we commit. So commit means we basically show the fragment on the screen. So this is how we make a fragment. Uh, now we will learn about the room library, which is there in the uh, Kotlin. Okay, so basically we made a project, and I will try to explain you using that project. So just a second. So there are three things in this. First is the entity, second is DAO, and third is database. So entity is same as a table in database. So for every table, you need to have an entity. You define entity using this @entity. Um, so and you have to write the name of the table. In this case, it's user info. Now we are defining the class, which is user entity. Uh, and since this class contains uh, the data, so we have to write it as data class and not simply a class. So in this project, there are four columns in the database: the ID, name, email, and phone. So also every data class needs to have at least one primary key. In this case, the primary key is the ID, and uh, auto-generate is equal to true. This means that the ID is generated automatically. We are not giving it as input. Uh, and this three, which are the name, email, and phone, we are giving this as input. Um, and okay, so this is about the entity. The next thing is the DAO. So we have to make another class for DAO, and sorry. So what you do in this DAO is that you basically define the database interactions. So for example, if you want to insert some information into the database, or you want to delete the information. So for inserting the information, you declare it using @insert, and then write the name of the function and the object that you are passing, or the information that you are passing into that function. Similarly, it is for delete, it is @delete. For update, you can use the @update function, update keyword, and for query, you use @query. So query is like query means if you want to extract some information from the database. So for that, there are particular methods, and you have to access that in that way, those data in that way, particular way only. So uh, one example is this: select star from user info, order by ID in descending order. So this basically means that select star. Select star means select everything. Select everything from where? From table named user info. So the name of our table is user info, right? So select everything from user info and then order by ID. So we are ordering it by ID, and the order should be descending order. So this is what it means. If you want to access one or two column, you can just write uh, email. If you want to access just the emails, you can write email. Say it is uh, suggesting us the name of the columns. Similarly, if you want to access multiple columns, you can use email comma name. Uh, so this is how you do that. This is how you access database using query. The third part is the database. So database is basically a place where all the data is collected. So uh, for defining that, we write at the rate database keyword, and then we write all the entities inside this list. So in our case, there is only one entity, right? So first we have written the user entity, and then if there are other entities, you can write after that, and then version. Version is second, and version is 2, and then we'll define the room database. So this is more complicated because it's used in the project, but I will just try to give you an overview. So what we have done here is that we have defined a get app database function. So this basically does that, it returns the database. So here we have defined the instance. Instances a variable of the room app database, room app db. Room app db is the room database. So basically instances are database, and what this function is doing that, uh, it is checking if it is null. If it is null, then this code will be executed, and null will be returned. If instance is not null, then simply it will jump here because this code will not run because this statement is false. So simply it will jump here and return instance, which is return the database. Similarly, we can destroy the complete database by just passing null value into the instance. So from here, Sravaya would continue. Yeah.
Shivam, can I start?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So hi guys, I'm Shravya. Nice to meet you all. I'm from Hyderabad. So today I'd like to give you just some basic concept about work manager. So we will start off by just looking at a video if that is okay.
अभी हम बात
Sorry? Okay, I'll start presenting.
You can start.
Can you guys let me know if you can listen to the sound?
Yeah, it is audible.
Okay, cool.
Actually, it's not clearly audible right now.
Oh, okay. Um, so I think because of this technical issue, I think mine will be cut short, but yeah, I'll try to extend it as much as I can. So instead of looking at the video, I'll just try to explain you what Work Manager is and what it does, right? So normally in an app like Instagram, let's take Instagram as an example. When you open the search feed, there are multiple operations running in the background, right? For example, they keep updating the number of likes or they keep updating the comments that are there on the post, or they keep updating your feed with new content, etc. Etc. Right? So all of these tasks are done in the background, and for such tasks, we can use Work Manager. So it's a very backward compatible and a flexible library for doing such kind of background works, and it is the recommended task scheduler for Android. Yeah, for Android. And Work Manager is a part of Android Jetpack, and it's an architecture component for background works that need a combination of opportunistic and uh, guaranteed execution, right? So, yeah, as I already told you, for any background works that need to be done, like the example I gave you earlier, so Work Manager can be used, and it's very flexible, and it has many benefits, like it supports asynchronous one-off and periodic tasks for constraints such as network conditions, storage space, and charging status, etc. Work Manager also supports that, and it uh, it also includes the chaining of complex works like all of these background tasks, updation of data, etc. And using Work Manager, the output of one work request can be sent as an input to the other to the next work request. So, and it is very easy to handle API level compatibility with Jetpack, sorry, with Work Manager. And it also supports live data for displaying the work request in form of a UI. So yeah, as I told you, the we use Work Manager to upload logs and to apply filters to images and saving the images, and we periodically sync data with the network and such type of updation tasks, and saving them and retrieving data periodically. These tasks can be done from Work Manager. To give another example, if we're making a stock market app, right? So the stock prices have to be updated periodically for they have to be updated time to time. So this can be done using Work Manager. For using Work Manager, we will have to add the dependency to our code. The dependency we add is from Google Maven repository. So I'm sorry, I really thought the video would work, so I wrote only this much. So
Okay, it's fine. You can try now. You can see whether the video works or not.
yeah, I will try now. So yeah, that was from my side, and I'm really sorry about the earlier technical snag. So yeah.
It's fine. So this is the completion of Android study jams. Sorry. So this is the completion of Android study jam sessions. All the 3 sessions have been completed, and now what you have to do is you have to complete those units, all the 6 units. Uh, I will share the last date to complete those units, and yeah, so that's it. And whatever, if you have any doubts, you can just WhatsApp me. You have the number. You can WhatsApp on the group or privately. It's your choice. So, any doubt from today's session? So, okay. So we will be closing this session. Okay then.